And good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Wanted to hop on this morning or this afternoon, if you are abroad, and talk Chelsea Atletico Madrid. Just what a game, and not even just what a match, what match is. It was a two-legged tie in the round of 16 of the Champions League. And frankly, the better team won, and it wasn't in doubt. Chelsea was the better team pretty much in all phases of the game. My friend of mine who's an Atletico fan is texting me, goes, "This is the easiest round of 16 that you'll ever get." I'm like, I don't know if it was quite that, but it was definitely a comfortable win for Chelsea. Now, a couple of things I wanted to talk about were player ratings. Go through each of the players. I want to go through the good and the bad, the ugly on both sides. I want to talk about this Chelsea team on the whole and their chances to keep advancing. They're in the round of 8. It's the first time in a while that that Chelsea has made it to the quarterfinals. Where can they go from here? How does top 4 look as far as being secure, et cetera, et cetera? And then we'll talk maybe a little transfers, depending. But if you're watching, please go ahead and type in comments, questions. It's a whole lot more fun when you are participating with me. So first off, I want to talk a little bit. Normally, I like to go back to front, but in this case, I want to go front to back when we're talking about the player ratings. And I want to start with Timo Verner. Timo Werner's had a kind of an up and down season, hot and cold, and the one thing you cannot question, and the reason why I think so many Chelsea fans still back him despite his struggles so far in his first year, is his effort and his body language and his work rate are all just top notch. I don't know about you, but I'll continue to back a player that at least appears to be giving a damn when he's on the pitch. Werner hasn't started shrugging his shoulders or throwing his hands or blaming teammates or anything like that. He works his ass off. And, I think that everything else will come with it. Now, yesterday, I think Thomas Tuchel had the right idea. Of course, with a goal up, Atleti's going to have to push forward. You definitely want Werner's pace in this team and on the counter, because he is absolutely a counterattacking player. He's not a guy that you want to have going against the park buses, the low blocks, so to speak, where you've got to have a lot of intricate passings or a cross in there where you need a target man and someone to get on the end of a header. And on speaking of that, I noticed a lot of the crosses were going in low. Yes, a nice adjustment. It's nice to see when that happens. When coaches and do the obvious thing. If you've got a guy that's 5'9" in the middle, play to his feet. Try and play to his feet. So very, very good there. So the negative with Werner is, honestly, and I don't think I'm being overly harsh on this, is he's got one of the worst first touches I've ever seen at this level. It's just every first touch, if it's a ball coming in the air, goes back up before he gets that under control, as opposed to someone like Reece James, who's just magnificent with the chest trap, bringing it down, or Marcus Alonso on that left foot, who can just set it right down on his feet. Mason Mount. Players like that who get it under control and hurry, if it's coming to his feet, it bounces away. Sometimes I think that actually plays to his advantage. An American type of crossover comparison, as I call him, he's like a pitcher who's effectively wild. If a pitcher is always pounding the strike zone, always in the zone, the batter can get comfortable and can start teeing off on that. So how that works in Werner's favor is his first touch gets away, which creates space, which draws guys in. And that's how he gets a lot of his penalties. That's how he gets a lot of fouls. That's how his second touch, because he's so fast, he's got such pace, he's able to then move around players because he can get that second touch. The first touch gets away from him, and it changes the way the defender thinks. But overall, in this match, I think Timo Verner was good, was very good, very effective. He's missed that final ball a lot, whether it's the pass or the shot. But this time, in the moment, it really mattered. We're watching on TV. Nobody's there at the stands, and you see Ziyech running from the right side, and it's like, oh man, everybody's on their weaker foot. But if Werner can just get that ball across, it's a goal, and it was a great play, initiated by a headed clearance by maybe the shortest guy on the field in N'Golo Kante. Heads it out to Havertz. Havertz out to Werner. Werner down the wing with pace. Ziyech keeping up with him. It was just a perfect counterattacking goal. It was good to see. So if I'm scoring Timo Verner, might be a 7.5 somewhere in there on his player rating. Now let's move over to Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has taken a lot of stick because of that price tag. Frankly, it's ridiculous. He's 21 years old. He's definitely not. He put up big numbers in the Bundesliga. There's a transition period. If you can't see the potential in Kai Havertz, you're not looking. You're just not looking. I said somewhere towards the beginning of the season about how fast he was, and someone laughed. He's like, "He's not fast." I'm like, "Are you joking? Are you watching? He's smooth. He's so smooth that he doesn't look like he's running that fast." Some of these guys are all effort. They're all knees and elbows. They're all over the place. They look like they're running fast. They're not getting anywhere. You tell me when he's got the ball in full flow coming out of the Chelsea half in transition, who's catching up to him? No one. No one's catching up to Kai Havertz. He's pulling away from people. When he goes through, he takes 2-3 strides, and he's so long and tall, his strides, he might not have the turnover rate of a shorter guy, so how we refer to it, but he's covering more ground. He's great in the air. You see him go into the when he's up there with the center backs in set piece corner. Sorry, still working on my coffee. It's still early here in the United States. And he's standing next to Kurt Zuma and Olivier Giroud, and he's eye to eye with these guys. He's 6'2", 6'3", and he's great in the air, and he's good on the ball, and he's finally getting not only comfortable, but he's also being put in a position to succeed, which wasn't always the case. And I don't blame Frank Lampard for that. The Chelsea was short on wings in a 4-3-3. Chelsea was short on players. Pulisic was out. Callum Hudson-Odoi was out. Mason Mount is being forced to play in a front three at times, and Kai Havertz is being placed in a front three. Timo Verner is on the left wing. Meanwhile, Tammy and Olivier Giroud are healthy; they're fit. So you have to make do. But Kai Havertz needs to be central. When I'm watching Chelsea play, I've tweeted this out several times. Is you can see what we're missing and why we bought Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is a creator with all of the physical ability in the world. He's bigger, he's faster, he's good on the ball than almost everybody that's going to be around him. And that is the missing piece in this team right now. And if he can become that guy, and he has become that guy in the last 3 matches, Chelsea's going to be awfully, awfully tough to beat. Now, I thought Havertz was terrific in this game. Maybe I wouldn't say he didn't put a foot wrong. Maybe had a bad pass here or there. Or missed a cut, but that's to be expected. And what I really liked about watching this game progress is you could see Chelsea growing in confidence minute by minute by minute. And towards the end, they were trying some of these through passes and one touch and being more aggressive. It's okay to lose the ball in the final third. If you're making a pass that will lead to a goal, it's okay. I get tired of seeing someone come in from the wing. Here comes Reece James and wants to cut him behind, or Pulisic coming in from behind, and we turn around and pass it sideways or backwards. I'm like, no, just try it. Good things will happen if you put the ball in good areas. Havertz has made more of those runs short of anybody of Timo Verner in this team, and he hasn't been found as much as I think he will be, but he's growing into that role. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. If I gave Verner a 7.5, I think Kai Havertz is at least a 7.5 on this one. So the front two, I don't know what he calls it, 5-3-2, 5-3-2-1, whatever. The front two are fairly interchangeable because they were coming back and forth a lot. But I thought Verner and Havertz were really good. So if it is a front three and you got Ziyech in the number 10 spot, how do we rate Hakim Ziyech? I thought he was good in this game, in this match. Maybe not great, but he was definitely good. I think there's still more to come from Ziyech, and I think he'd be the first one to tell you. He is one of those guys trying those killer balls, the ones that we are missing in this team, and I love it. So, when Havertz and Verner and Reece James and Alonso, or whoever's playing wing, and we see Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi in there, they're making those runs. Ziyech is the guy that's going to try and find them, and we miss that. Chelsea misses that. Haven't had a guy, Jorginho will make that pass, but no one's made it like that consistently, really since Fabregas was there doing it. Busted his tail down the right wing to get there, to get on the end of that cross, that pass from Verner to get the goal. Weak foot. It was a weak foot goal, which we were not sure it could happen. So that was as it's coming in, and he's one-on-one, maybe 10 yards out. He's inside the penalty spot. I'm thinking, oh no, it's a weak foot. Should be a goal. It was. All you had to do was redirect it. Well taken. I thought he was good. I think he was probably 7.5, maybe pop him up to 8 just because of the goal that was in there. Now, those are the 3 forward players. The stars of this match were in the midfield. Matteo Kovic, and we'll get to N'Golo Kante, were just spectacular. They were spectacular. Matteo Kovic, we'll start with him. If you've paid attention to me at all, I'm not a fan of Willian. But I think if Willian had been allowed to play the role that Matteo plays, that Kovic plays, we would have seen a lot. To me, they have a lot of the same skill sets. When Kovic gets the ball in the Chelsea half, I feel good. Things are good. He can break a press and progress. Now, as soon as he gets in the final third, he loses his mind. But that's not what we need him for at the time. He's not good going in the final third. And like Willian, the only time I felt comfortable with Willian on the field is if he received the ball in the Chelsea half. In the Chelsea half and turned and was trying to break a press. That was where Willian was really, really good. World-class Willian was right there in the Chelsea half, receiving a ball and breaking the press. And he was doing it out on the wing. Matteo does it in the middle of the field. And he came to the ball. Jorginho never hides, ever. Jorginho is always arms wide open, coming to the ball, trying to find it. And that's where Matteo was. And he didn't put a foot wrong. If it weren't for N'Golo Kante's performance, Matteo Kovic for me was man of the match. He was easily an 8+ on player ratings. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought his distribution was good. His movement up to the front 3 was good. I thought his defensive, his press was good. And what is most important of him is his ability to break that press and be a link with the back 3 or the back 5, depending on how it's set up, how they're back there, and getting the ball out of the danger areas. I thought Matteo Kovic was co-man of the match. Not really, because Kante was even better. So let's get on to him. But Matteo was fantastic. At least an 8 from Matteo Kovic. N'Golo Kante, what can you say? Anybody that doesn't rate this guy or has anything negative to say to him, we can't be friends. we can't be friends. Not only is he professionally one of the best people and persons you'd ever want on your team or around. It's like, I want my son to grow up to be N'Golo Kante. He's just an amazing person. Nobody has a bad thing to say about him. And then he goes out there and just does a fantastic job. Our knocks on Kante are generally when he has the ball. What's he going to do once he has the ball? Yesterday, that wasn't even a knock. That was a plus. Welcome, BioC. Kovic is a great player, especially when Kante was playing. The two of them together were just amazing. Appreciate you joining. I see a couple people starting to pop in, and I can go back over some of the things I've already gone over. I started at the back and worked at the front. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know, and we'll go through those. But for me, Kante easily man of the match, and it's not just his energy and work rate, which is world class. It's a step above world class. It's better than anybody. If there's a player in the world that can run as long and far and hard as he can, show him to me. I don't know who he is. But, early on in the game, when João Felix is starting to feel his oats a little bit, saw him cut inside one time because I think he probably had Kovic on his right, and he's getting within close to a shooting distance, cuts in on his left, and here comes Kante in from behind, peels it off him, turns around. But those are the things we expect, excuse me, expect from Kante when he's playing well. What he did even better was receive the ball, progress the ball, move the ball around, distribute the ball. And watching the second goal again, I wanted Pulisic to play Kante so badly and get Kante in and see if he could get that goal that he deserved. But looking back at it, he would have had to split 2 guys to get to Kante. Would have been a great pass. and I think he could have made it, but it was free on the left side to play to Emerson. I actually thought he sent Emerson a little bit too wide. That was a hell of a finish by Emerson, but we'll get to that here shortly. But Kante, for me, man of the match, without a doubt, maybe his best performance in a Chelsea shirt. I was absolutely adored with watching him play. I posted the old Rocky gif of Rocky IV when he's getting pummeled by Ivan Drago. He says, "I see 3 of them out there." That had to be how the Atleti midfield was playing. Anytime they tried to do anything, N'Golo Kante was in there, was on him like a rash. That's what I've called him in his Chelsea days. I call him the rash because he's just all over you. And he was amazing. I can't say enough good things about him, but you might get bored about me talking about N'Golo Kante the whole time. So let's move on just a little bit, and we'll move to the back, and we'll start here, and we'll jump around a little bit across the back 5, and we'll start with Dave. Dave got his poster up. He got his banner hung at the bridge yesterday about we just call him Dave. And Cesar Aspellique, to me, is one of the most underappreciated players at Chelsea. He's captain. He always puts in a shift, and he's not just dependable, he's good. He's really good. I think he's arguably the best big game player that Chelsea has. The bigger the match, the bigger Cesar Aspellique plays. What more can you ask from this man? And I was a little worried about Zuma in the middle of the back 3. In fact, I think I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago, the last time we saw him there, that I'd pretty much rather have any of our available players that could play center back there except for Zuma, because Zuma is better going forward. He's better attacking the ball. And when you're in the middle of that back 3, you've got to be the safety. You've got to be the safety net. You've got to cover for everybody else. And that isn't necessarily a strength, but we'll get to that here shortly. I thought, Dave was fantastic. He shepherded his line. He kept everybody outside. He made blocks when he needed to. Anybody that claims a penalty on Aspellique is out of their minds. He barely brushed his shirt. He did reach, but he didn't pull, and it certainly wasn't enough to bring him down or even impede his progress. So that was asinine. This might be a good time for me just to say that I think the way that the players in La Liga work the officials is pretty despicable, honestly. I call it a referee gangbang. I know that's pretty crude, but that's what it looks like. They line up and they surround him. And I've said several times, in order to deal with that, the officials should just, at the beginning, say, anybody that approaches me, if you weren't involved in the foul of the captain, you're getting a yellow card. Let's put an end to this nonsense. Seriously. Dave was spectacular. He's at least a 7.5 on a player rating. I'm going to stay on the right side and Reece James. There's been some movement around between Callum Hudson-Odoi and Reece James in the wing back position. This is real easy. Because Callum Hudson-Odoi doesn't play wing back when he's out there. He plays wing. So if you need the wing, you need to get goals, you want to attack, it's going to be Callum Hudson-Odoi. If you need the back and you're going to defend, it's going to be Reece James. It's simple. It can't get any simpler than that when you're talking about who's going to play in that position, because Callum Hudson-Odoi doesn't play wing back. He's the second highest player on the field. I've looked at the heat charts when he's playing in that wing back position. There isn't any back in Callum Hudson-Odoi's wing back. But in this game, protecting a 1-0 lead with an away goal at home, Thomas Tuchel has done everything from back to front. So Reece James starting shouldn't have surprised anybody, because he wants to defend first. If they don't score, they can't win. So he's set up not to get scored upon. And Reece James was fairly conservative. He still got forward and still made, but for a Reece James match, he was actually fairly conservative. And that's okay. I think Reece James plays with a youngster's arrogance and ignorance, which isn't always a bad thing. He's arrogant going forward. He trusts in his ability, and sometimes it's cost him. I don't mind that. He's a young player. He's learning. He's got all the tools to be great. I don't think he's great yet, but I thought he was great yesterday, especially at the job that Chelsea needed him to do, which was to shut down that right side. So nothing but good things to say yesterday for Reece James. He's easily a 7 as well. Kurt Zuma. Let me get a sip of coffee. We're going to spend a little time on Kurt Zuma. Kurt Zuma was my biggest concern going into this match. And again, not because he's not a great defender, he is. But what he does well isn't in the middle of a back three. What he does well is a little farther forward. He wins aerial balls. He likes to jump forward and attack. He likes to intercept before the danger is there. Usually the guy in the back, in the center of a back three is cover. He's reading the game, and he's providing cover for the 4 to 6 players that are in front of him that are reading the defense. I've played that position. I've played the fullback position, and I've played a farther forward defensive position. We used to call it stopper. That's how old I am. And Zuma is a stopper. He is a guy that's going to win all the air, but of the aerial balls. And I didn't want to take that out of his game, but watching them, I watched them very closely. Anytime Zuma stepped forward, except in the very first 5 minutes, which scared the hell out of me because he got high and there was no cover. After that, anytime he stepped forward, either Aspellique or Rudiger dropped in behind him and dropped right into that center spot. And everybody was connected. The shape was tight. It was really, really good. If Rudiger came in to cover for Zuma in the middle, then Alonso would come in and drop in a little deeper. Or Kovic would come in, or Kante would come in and drop deeper. It was a tight, cohesive unit. And there's a reason why Atleti had maybe one shot on target in the first 80 minutes of the game. And the shape has a lot to do with it. Kurt Zuma was terrific in all phases of the game. His aerial prowess is so important. I don't think it's a coincidence that Chelsea has stopped scoring from corners as we've seen less of Kurt Zuma. Having him in there is just it's a bonus in the set piece areas. So Kurt was great. He's easily an 8. Let's stay with the back three, and we'll talk about Antonio Rudiger. Rudiger, when he first came to Chelsea, I think it was 2016. There was a stat on there that he had. They're checking the GPSs and the speeds. He was the fastest player on the team. He ran faster than anybody else on the team. And Rudiger has battled injuries, some very serious knee injuries throughout his career. When Rudiger is good, Rudiger is great. Rudiger has been great in the left side of a back three. The other thing that we in the championship season under Kante, Rudiger had a wand of a switch. He could switch the fields, hit the long ball with his left or right foot, as well as anybody that we've had. And that went away after he had his second injury. That kind of disappeared a little bit, and that has come back into his game. The swagger has come back into his game. When he knows he's got cover, he gets forward and attacks. He is still as fast. Looks like his pace has returned, which is great, because then he can be more aggressive. When you've got pace, when you know you can get back, you can be more aggressive going forward, and that makes you doubly dangerous. I also like his attitude. We saw this one, and we had a good laugh at this, saying this was Alex Goldberg, the Hermoso. Obviously, it wasn't. I'll tell you a couple of my favorite things about this. One is he's having fun and just having a joke with the guy and making him and just punking him, basically looking down on him. Here's the other thing. Zuma comes in and saying, "Move along, little man. Just move along." You know what's the scariest thing about this? Not these two giant center backs. This guy, Matteo Kovic, this guy right here. That's the scariest look you're ever going to see. Do you think João Felix or Hermoso or anybody wants this guy coming in behind you? These are the two that are going to flat out tell you that you better move along or you're going to have trouble. And this guy is the one that's going to come up behind you and just knock you out. So Matteo Kovic, Antonio Rudiger, Kurt Zuma, this was a lesson in intimidation, and they basically owned the Atleti front. I thought Rudiger was at least a 7.5 or an 8 also. Let's go Marcos Alonso. Marcos is freewheeling also. He wants to get forward and not defend as much, but he did a job. He absolutely did a job. He was good on defense, and if there were any shortcomings at the time, he had help. So he knew how to play into his help. If you've got help on the inside, then force the guy inside. Open up on your right and let him come inside and force him right into Kovacic or Kante or Rudiger, and be smart about it. If you've got help on the wing, going around, let him go around you, or not let him, but at least cheat to that side. Alonso, just like Reece James, I thought they were more conservative going forward, but that's what this match called for. He got his chances and had some chances going forward, but this game was about defending, and Marcos Alonso did a very good job at that. Edouard Mendy did what he had to do. He was big when he needed to be. Atleti didn't challenge him much in these two matches, but when they did, he was there. And it takes incredible focus to be ready when you're standing for 90 minutes. When you're not being challenged for 90 minutes, it takes incredible focus. Now, on a personal note, my son is a goalkeeper. He's also a baseball player. And I think that those two sports, that position with baseball and then goalkeeping, I think they go hand in hand, because if you're in the field in baseball, you can go 2 hours without a ball coming to you. But when it does, you better be ready. So the mental focus that he gets from playing baseball translates well to goalkeeping. And Edouard Mendy I've called him Mende twice. Edouard Mendy has that focus in order to be on his game when he needs to be. When you're dominating a game for most of the time, you're dominating possession, to stay turned on. And some of that is so much more gets played out of the back now that the goalkeeper has as many touches as the outfield players. But when Chelsea needed him, if that last goal from Felix had gone in with about 5 minutes left, it would have been squeaky bum time. That would have been nervous. And once he saved it, it was done. It was game over. So Mendy has literally been big. He's huge of a goalkeeper. He's an imposing presence. He commands a box, but he made the saves when he needed to. Let's talk about some of the substitutions. Callum Hudson-Odoi was okay. I don't think he was great. I think there were some chances that he took on his own that he could have passed on, and I think there were some chances where he was missed. So, not a ton to say. Good energy, came back when he needed to, pressed well, but overall kind of an incomplete. Emerson, he only needed one touch. And welcome to the game. We hadn't seen you in a while, Emerson. Welcome to the match. And if you are third on the wingback priority list and down the pecking order a little bit, but Chelsea might be able to get a fee for you in the summer, you just enhance your value. The rumors are Inter Milan is now sniffing around about Emerson, so they'll probably want to go for a loan because they don't seem to ever have any cash available in Italy. But Emerson, one touch, that's all he needed, goal. Like I said, that was a heck of a finish. Like I was saying earlier, I think Pulisic, I thought he played him a little too wide. But to be able to beat Oblak like that from a wider angle with your first touch of the game was spectacular. So great job, Emerson. And finally, Christian Pulisic. There's not necessarily a defined spot for him in the way this team is set up. And the way the team is playing, you're not going to change it up a ton. There's going to be rotation, but about the only nailed-on starter right now is two of them is Dave, the captain, Aspellique, and Mendy. That's it. And even Mendy hasn't started every game. But after that, there's been a lot of rotation. Pulisic's found his chances tough to come by. He's been injured a lot. When he came on, the energy was there. The body language is there. The final ball wasn't. He missed a crossover. I think it would have been to Callum Hudson-Odoi that if he makes, there's a goal. He took a one-on-one at the top of the penalty area where he pushed it wide to his right. He got tackled and lost possession. I think he was disappointed because if he gets by there, that's a goal. But then he has such pace and such ball control and creativity and vision that when he's running with the ball and leading a break in the middle, he is just an assassin. So Pulisic, if he's got a role, it might be in the front two system that they're playing right now. It's either going to be as the right wing. Like I said earlier, Callum Hudson-Odoi does not play wing back. He plays wing. When they need a back, they play Reece James. So he can either fight for that spot with Callum Hudson-Odoi, or he can play centrally. And if you've got Havertz and Pulisic up there, The problem is there's not necessarily a true 9 out of that bunch. They both want to come back. It's almost like having a double 10. Are there double false 10s in this game? And having 2 10s, which might not be, the best way to go. So where is he going to find his spots? He's gonna have to get put in there because he's too dangerous not to play. And then he's going to have to take advantage of it and be healthy, be fit. There's enough games, and Tuchel will rotate enough. The Pulisic's going to get his time. And I don't know that this formation is for next year. I don't know that he will always go with a back 3, a back 5. I think that Tuchel has settled the back and might want to try and get more forward, more attacking play in the future. So for this year, we're not changing anything. You haven't lost a game with this formation. Need to see out top 4 and make a run at Champions League. That's not changing. So Pulisic and guys like Callum Hudson-Odoi, they're going to have to bide their time and split time in the wingback position or try and split time among those front two. But he was good when he came on. Not quite as sharp as we've seen him in the past, but still gets a nice breakaway counter assist. And let's talk about where can Chelsea go? Because that's what Chelsea's in the final 8. You look around at the draws, and there's not a lot of teams that are just going to sit back and park the bus. The Atleti's gone. Juventus of old is one of those. Let's sit back and, oh my God, when Juventus would play Atletico Madrid, it would put coffee to sleep. But teams that are going to have a go at Chelsea, with Chelsea's pace up front and their way that they can defend, this is going to be vintage Kante, vintage Jose Mourinho, where you absorb and counter. And the pace that Chelsea can throw at you on the counterattack right now is frightening. With Kai Havertz, with Timo Verner, with Pulisic, with Callum Hudson-Odoi, with Ziyech cleaning things up in the back. And even if you look at Kante and Kovic initiating the break, Kante, when he starts running the ball in the open field, he's amazing. Everybody else has fallen off of him. Doesn't matter what minute. It can be the first minute. It could be the 90th minute. He's running away from people. So the pace that they can break is going to be frightening to a lot of teams. That's going to set up well for this competition. I don't know who Chelsea's going to get in the draw. They shouldn't be afraid of anyone. I don't think anybody's going to want to play Chelsea right now. No one's scoring on Chelsea right now. I honestly think that Manchester City is the favorite in this group of 8. And the reason why is because they defend really, really well. Pep has taken that team and solidified the back and said, we're going to work back to front now. Not just work the way out of the back. They played offense out of the back. They didn't necessarily defend. They're solid as a rock in the back, and they've got the creativity up front. Liverpool, never discount the quality. They've been struggling. I think that's as much of a motivation problem. And I spoke on that a year ago when they were coming out of lockdown with the title already wrapped up. There was a drop-off right away. They've won everything there is to win. This team has won Champions League. This team has won the Premier League. There's a drop-off in motivation on every day. And just this much is going to get you beat. So Liverpool, if they're motivated, and they're going to be motivated in Champions League, they could win this thing. They absolutely could win this thing. It'll be tough because they're not nearly as solid in the back as they used to be, but they can score goals with anybody. Bayern is the reigning champ. It's tough to repeat. Going to be they have to be considered co-favorites, if not still the favorite. But they're not as solidified in the back as Chelsea or Manchester City, and that could cost them. They can score goals with anybody. Lewandowski's still I think the best striker in the world. Speaking of, the next best one coming up could be Bayern, could be Borussia Dortmund's Erling Haaland, who has gotten linked to a couple Premier League clubs, including Chelsea. I'm a cynic at heart, so I don't want to get my hopes up on that, but he'd look nice in blue, wouldn't he? But for this year, Dortmund is a mess in the back. So it's tough for me to see them progressing too far, much past the 8, because they're going to concede. They're going to concede goals. Porto is a bit of a wild card. Juventus isn't the Juventus of old, but still beating them is still pretty solid. And I'm forgetting somebody. Real Madrid. Real Madrid is not the Real Madrid of old, but they're still a dangerous team. So when I said that Chelsea has a puncher's chance, I posted that on Twitter. A puncher's chance. The way they defend, if you don't score on them, they can't lose. So I don't think it's going to be just a park the bus and play out for draws, because teams are going to have a go at them. The teams that are left are going to attack them, and Chelsea's going to get their counter-attacking opportunities. So if you can defend like Chelsea can, and the numbers are there, giving up one goal. I don't count on goals as giving one up. They've given up one goal under Tuchel. One? Really? 14 games? Yeah. You can beat anybody when you're that good on defense and then hit on the counter. They've got a chance. Absolutely have a chance. So I'm looking forward to the draw. And frankly, I'm not afraid. I don't look at anybody and go, oh no, we can't beat them. Like we were last year in the round of 16. They're half the teams there Chelsea wasn't going to beat in a two-legged tie, at least half. And we just happened to get the best one. So I'm looking forward to the draw. I'm looking forward to the rest of the league. I'm looking forward to the rotation. I enjoy seeing a bunch of different players coming in. And when you've got the team involved, then you see the type of things we saw yesterday after Pulisic's goal, not on the field, but in the stands with Mount, Silva, and Jorginho just going crazy, like a couple of guys and gals coming out of the pub and celebrating a win. So that was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming in and watching. I appreciate your comments, and we'll do this again. Leave some comments, questions, anything that you want to. You can hit me up on Twitter at ScottKennedyFC. You can put comments and questions on here on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll get to them. And we'll do this more. The more people that are interested, the more we'll do it. And like I said, the interaction, if you are involved, makes it a whole lot more fun for me, because I know I'm talking about what you want to hear. So please hit the comments and questions, and I'll see you again soon. Keep that blue flag flying high.